I think they actually liked that how shitty the stream has been in terms of like spending the first 12 minutes moving windows around. But yeah, do you get unk on your streams? You stream quite often, right?
Yeah, I get called Unk all the time. At this point, I'm calling it a slur in development, because I think when these kids get to our relative age, because I think our age is relatively similar between the two of us, they're going to unironically redefine it as a slur, because they're not going to want to be called a good old Unk.
Oh no, it's ageist as hell.
Yes. That's going to be the main thing. Once they are old, ageism is going to replace everything else. How you doing, man? You haven't slept. I mean, you've slept, but you've been doing this for what, 4 days?
Today's day 5, man. It's been a lot. I don't know. I'm just been streaming basically the schedule of a normal streamer, or like even less than someone like Hassan, and it's been tiring, but only because I have a low social battery. So I've been sleeping. I slept on stream. I was still able to sleep. It's a little weird. There's a couple times where I wake up and I'm like, okay, people are watching me. This feels weird, but for the most part, I don't know. It's been good. I'm just not built for this shit, man. I can't handle it. How long do you stream when you usually start?
Yeah, I'm extremely lazy. So 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week, and then I stream for 4 hours max. They even have a very special emote in chat that they will spam once I hit 4 hours, because it almost never happens. Not because I don't enjoy spending time with chat and, talking about interesting topics and so on, but because my social battery literally immediately runs out. I think some people like Dose at this point that manage to do it, or they are just brilliant, smarter than me at least. In the beginning, it was very difficult to even get over 2 hours, but it's kind of like coffee or booze. The longer you do it, the more you can do it. It's like training a muscle, I guess. But always like three hours in, you genuinely start like not being able to do English very well. It becomes cringe. What other goals did you hit?
I got this wheel thing, and so I had to spin that initially every 5,000. And from that, I had to do like 200 squats, 200 push-ups, 200 jumping jacks. And then I got pied. So I threw a pie on my own face, and I did that twice. And then I got soaking wet yesterday, which is where you shower with all your clothes on. That was just the wheel ones. But then what were the actual goal challenges?
I'm going to join in solidarity with you. Number one, what you're doing is absolutely fucking fantastic. Thank you for doing it. Not only the phenomenal content that you put out, but specifically this fundraiser. I watched your latest video with chat, and I can't agree more with how you use relatively clickbaity herder. This is going to be a drama episode. Come get your in content soup of the day.
Get your slop.
Yeah. But then you manipulate it and actually educate people on something that is god awful. But yeah, I'm gonna join you in the goal thing. Everybody listening, I'm joining Noah in the streamer self-humiliation ritual in the name of a greater cause. I've entered. It's $394,666. So if we get by the time while I'm here, if we get to 399,666, I will drink what is definitely Coca-Cola in this bottle, 5 shots. And if we hit $15,000 since I've begun, which will be I'm bad at math, $409,000, I will drink 20 shots, which will probably knock me the out immediately. But
20 shots of Coke.
Yeah, it's the first time when I will utilize my ability to have enzymes that process alcohol relatively quickly for a relatively good goal. So everybody in chat, I can only direct mine. Please go to the link. It's pinned in the thing, and donate. But yeah, how did you decide to do this?
Well, I'd wanted to do a fundraiser for a long time. I hadn't had the right, I guess, situation to talk about it and do one of them. I should have done one way earlier. And I initially, like a lot of the sponsors that I did for early videos, I was donating the ad revenue. But in terms of the actual fundraiser, I was kind of like, I think Bad Empanada's fundraising stream was one of the examples where I was like, if you just go live and kind of tell people to send you money, but send it to UNRWA or send it to an org, people will generally like the first day after my video, first couple days, it got like $50,000, not from the stream, just from the video. And then they slowed down a lot because YouTube is like videos up, people watch it, and then video views pretty much slow down to negligible. And then the stream started, and then it's just you're talking to people, you're engaging with people, and then you're bringing people on, and people want to, half the stream is me saying, who do you guys want on next? And all people are just listing all their favorite YouTubers because they want to see them in a different element, and that's what gets them here. But yeah, initially it was just like, part of it was the lawsuit stuff. I'm not sure how much of that you heard about, but like being threatened with a lawsuit and being like, oh, it actually does cost like $200,000. And if I were to do that right now, I would feel like sick to my stomach about crowdfunding under these circumstances. So I was trying to figure out a way, like, should I crowdfund for legal fees, and then if he doesn't sue me, donate them, or should I just crowdfund for legal fees and then probably end up using them depending on what happens? But eventually I landed on like, okay, if I just do it a little more chill and say, we'll do a fundraiser because I want to do one for a while, and then we'll see what happens next. And if he wants to go through with it and see, I guess I'd see, how to do a fundraiser after that. But initially, yeah, it was just like, it should have happened earlier. And I know a lot of like other creators would be down to support it. And so, yeah, and I'm glad a lot of people have come on. I'm glad you're able to come on, because I know you were one of the channels that when I asked everyone, a lot of probably top 5 of the amount of comments were asking for Yugopnik. So appreciate you coming on. But yeah, that's the backstory.
Thank you for getting this weird, the definition of no good aesthetics of dude in a balaclava on the thing, especially alluding to particular military groupings, and you having me on just aesthetically probably isn't the best of things, but still, thank you very much for allowing me to contribute in whatever way I can. But no,
it's great variety.
Yeah, I literally watched the video where you talk about the potential lawsuit and so on, and I, again, just as I said previously, I love the pivot to the fundraiser and kind of literally throwing the ball in their court on being like, really, at a time like this, you want us to spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on suing each other over YouTube videos, which also, that is the most cringe thing I've heard in my life. Remember like 5-6 years ago how cringe it was when, I don't know, the Paul brothers or whatever were boxing other content creators that they disagreed with, blah, blah, blah. I miss those times. That is a less cringe way to take care of Herder, I fucking hate you for making a video of this sort about me, than doing lawsuits. And then, they sit there when they're threatening lawsuits and shit as if they're, I don't know, flexing muscles or coming at you in a bar or some shit. Like they're somehow pitching it as a very like masculine fucking thing where, they're gonna completely dominate you. You don't know who you're fucking with. But it used to be, you don't know who you're fucking with, I'm gonna break your head in, which obviously toxic masculinity, very bad. But call me a reactionary. Unironically, less cringe, still cringe, but less cringe than motherfucker, I'm gonna sue you. Like, come on at this point. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're not. But that pivot I didn't see coming. Especially the contrast between what he was suing back in the day on and what's potentially he's going to sue on nowadays is like the contrast between the same person back then and who they are now is absolutely wild. But let's not waste time talking about the future most irrelevant person on planet Earth. The way you managed to use it to pivot to this is really, 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 really cool. And you moved recently, right?
I did. Yeah. Big move. Took a little bit. I was living at home actually for the past year. I did some traveling and I moved home and stayed there in my mom's basement, literally. And it was
legendary.
It was a great time. It was a classic gaming in mom's basement and occasionally making a video. And Bad Empanada. I moved to Argentina and I'm rooming with him, so you can kind of tell that we have the same background. But it's good and it protects me in a lot of ways in terms of like legal stuff. It's beautiful out here. I still don't know Spanish. Like I have to have him come with me everywhere as a translator, but it's good. I still like it. I like feeling safe by living with Bad Empanada. makes me feel very safe.
Fuck yeah, the people's attack dog, the people's protective dog. Empanada's impressive. But seriously, you're living actually with him. That's insane. In a good way. That's two worlds that only exist in the digital space, all of a sudden coming together and sharing an actual common space is very cool. How's Bet Empanada like IRL? Give me some gossip. Give me some, motivate them to spend money by shit talking about your fellow comrade. Come on.
I feel bad. I feel bad now because I was pranking you. I thought it sounded
Dude,
like
it did.
no, because
keep going with it, for fuck's sakes. I gave it to you on a platter. Just keep going.
I felt bad. I was like, wait, because you DM me and said like cover your drinks up or whatever. And I was like, yeah.
So you saw that, and motherfucker didn't respond. I saw him have an Instagram story where he's like, I fucking moved to Argentina. That's crazy. No, I didn't see that. Maybe recently. It's okay. No, dude, no worries. Because I saw he moved to Argentina, and I literally texted him, "Yo, enjoy finally out of the world's fucking most annoying country." And I put in a little joke: just cover your drinks in front of the empanada. And again, I'm a big lover of the good old empanada, but it was just a joke. And he left me.
I totally didn't respond.
Like, holy shit! Was that joke out of
bad
line?
guy?
Nah, you're fine.
No, not at all. It was funny. I just am one of the worst communicators of all time, like digitally. So I don't know how I've been able to get people on here, but somehow we did it. But I felt bad because a lot of people in my life were like, holy shit, that's a huge move. Like, that's awesome. And I was like, now I have to explain that I'm just way too online and that I'm like doing this to like fuck with a group, just some random internet community. And that sucks to do. So I had to like send a couple of group chats and be like, it's not real. I'm not actually going, but just let me play along. But yeah, fuck, you had me. That was good. I should have.
Yeah, Uno Reverse, as my chat is saying. So you had a lot of guests on, like at this point, like 20 people or some shit?
Yeah, it might be at this point. Yesterday we had like 5 people, and then each day it's been like 4 or 5. The first day we started late, so it was like 2, I think, but it's probably around 20. Yeah, maybe 15 to 20, which is actually insane. It's been a super big variety of like people, because yesterday was crazy because I had a couple YouTubers, and I had the communications director for UNRWA, for the organization, for the UNRWA USA, which was awesome. She was super like professional and helpful in terms of contextualizing for the audience, like what this like looks like and means, where the money is going, and what the organization does. And then I had Timothy Chalamet. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the online discourse around that. That's his nickname, but he's like a dude from Yemen that has been getting smeared online by certain communities. And we did it with a translator, and it was great. Like, I was able to kind of say, like, because he's been getting shit on in a lot of ways that are super unfair, I think. And I kind of wanted to go on and just be like, have him talk a little bit more about it, because he hasn't spoken publicly on YouTube or on a main platform since he talked to Hassan like over a year and a half ago, I think now, like January of last year. And so that was really good, because I mean, it was really funny. He's like a funny dude, and it was cool. But yeah, that's a pretty big variety all in one day. So I think it's kind of different, something new for sure.
I think absolutely everyone knew that you got him on, because the second you had him on, all the fucking chuds on Twitter, on X, the everything platform, lost their fucking mind, which was perfection, because literally walking right into this hole that I very obviously, like, they're true believers, or more because they realized just how much money can be made out of plastering your face, plastering Chalamet's face on a post or on a video that's going to be 3 hours and a half long, and they just make fucking bank. Because I'm pretty sure their videos do get fucking monetized. Well, most of the stuff that you make doesn't, which was also the case that they brought up, right? Which was absurd. That you are, what was it, making money off of responding to liberal Zionist propaganda, which means that you are making money off of smearing them, which was, the perfect internet era coded fucking sentence put together by a fucking lawyer. Me watching you read this shit was absolutely unhinged. I can't even imagine what it was like for you to actually read it. But yeah, are they still doing this shit because there's just like fucking money in it, or do you think most of these guys are actual full-on Zionists? It's probably a combination of the two. I don't know.
I think it's a combination for sure. I think specifically with Rashid, the online discourse around him is that it has been established because of this group of arguments that he's a terrorist and he's a member of the Houthis, and that anyone talking to him or associating with him in any way is materially supporting, American designated terror organization. And so they should be either banned or, imprisoned, which obviously we're seeing that in real time with college students and activists, because it's treated as a fact. It's like a moral imperative too, when they see me talking to him, talk about that as a just very obviously immoral and essentially evil act. But they're wrong about that. And that kind of charges them up because, if they're wrong about it, but they think they're as right as one can be, then they're going to engage. But at the same time, the ecosystem of content where everyone's making videos about something, of course you jump in on it when you're in that kind of group of people. I mean, that they'll do that every time. So a lot of that. And then also the third pillar being just straight up racism, right?
Yeah.
The comments I saw about talking about him being a terrorist and talking about him being like, he was, when he was speaking in Arabic, what he was really saying was, oh, this guy has dyed hair, he's queer. I'm excited to, have him talk to me so I can one day, attack him or kill him, or like him having a knife on his belt. He has the murder weapon, and like he's all sorts of just incredibly racist shit where that only happens with a whole, years and years of programming, but it doesn't really matter how it happens because seeing it unfold online is like, well, it's not a surprise, but it's like just another factor to make the backlash to someone like that worse and make it impossible for him to be able to make content and advocate for Palestine, which is what he was always doing. But I guess that same process is being used across the board with advocacy for Palestine and anti-genocide advocacy, which is it's very surreal in some ways, but predictable in others, I guess.
It is. And there's like a thin line that I honestly struggled with for a second, where it was like, do you actually like respond to these people? Because to an extent, once you do and start getting into that whole back and forth, it kind of starts feeling like you're making content off of the suffering of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, apologies, millions of people. So I couldn't find my very specific subjective moral perspective towards it. And the way I managed to explain to myself why it is good to be addressing these people and even making whole debunk videos and so on, or streaming and covering particular things that they're talking about, and then, making sure that your audience understands better how these are quite literal, fascistic Zionist points that they're trying to explain away through, in the case of particular people, liberal means. The way I explained to myself why it is not a constant content grind and just, baseless internet drama to an extent is because, these people have platforms so large and they're talking to so many people that they've entered the unironic mainstream of kind of the main guys that are doing, in this case, the liberal Zionist pitch. What do I mean by this? Tell me, genuinely, anybody in chat, or you, my friend, who is a larger advocate for liberal Zionism on the planet right now in English-speaking audiences, for English-speaking audiences, on the internet, digitally, obviously, we have fucking CNN and Fox News, but on digital platforms, other than, the H3H3 podcast and so on. So it stops being just two dudes fighting over a particular, this ideological disagreement or whatever the fuck, and it becomes addressing the largest and most influential digital mouthpiece for liberal Zionism, which directly replicates itself materially into into genocide. So it's unironically not a waste of time, because I think we kind of ideologize it to an extent. When you're, for example, covering some dude on BBC or CNN or Fox News and pointing out their hypocrisy, then you're doing intellectual work. You are talking about an established media company that really needs to be rigorously inspected and analyzed and critiqued. But once you do it for someone that just has a camera, and in his case, okay, $1 million fucking operation, it's just fucking content creators being stupid. But that's an ideological fallacy, because he's reaching, at least when it comes to proper let's say conversion into liberal Zionist thinking, arguably as many people as some of this mainstream news outlets. So it's not just content for the sake of content. It's not monetizing and profiting off of ethnic cleansing, because it's quite literally directed at pushing as many people away from a person or a group or an entity that is justifying said liberal Zionism, which directly or indirectly contributes to the genocide itself. So that's at least how I explain it to myself. Do you agree? I don't know.
Oh, 100%. I think it is undersold, the amount of influence that these people have. And also, in a corollary way, like our ability to affect change in the media landscape and in these ideas and challenge them is, I'll make videos about the New York Times manufacturing consent for the genocide, but it doesn't have the same effect when I make a video about Ethan Klein, because Ethan Klein is going to respond, and Ethan Klein is going to talk about my video and draw attention to it. And a lot of more people are going to watch it and see, oh yeah, this is insane. Why is he saying these things? Why now especially is he doing that while calling himself an advocate? And then moving from there into, like the online discourse will take place in a way that, how can we best affect change and best show people what's happening and advocate for it? And it's like both should be done, but like YouTube is a massive platform with a lot of people. And even if it's going to like one specific audience of people, the most parasocial among them, you still read some of the stuff they're saying, like, oh my God, like these people were just fans of some like silly guy online are doing like IDF propaganda. Mm-hmm. This is insane. And this all happened because of one person's decision or one person's programming to continue down this spiral, essentially unchallenged. I think a lot of people, it took a while for people to start looking at what he was saying and talking about it. And that was detrimental in the sense that it somewhat could have been mitigated. I don't think with him ideologically, but at least with the online conversation around liberal Zionist propaganda. And to the point about the cynical weaponization of like profiting off of a genocide or profiting off of some atrocity, like don't do that because that's wrong. It's like, no matter what you're doing online, if you're making YouTube videos, you're going to be making money. It's your job and it's AdSense, and it's how you keep going and sustain the channel or whatever you want to do to just live, basically. And some people make a lot more money than others, but the difference is if you're making money advocating against the genocide versus advocating for it or manufacturing and whitewashing it, that's a pretty important difference, right? If fundamentally and materially we're both doing the same thing. But again, when I see people make that critique, it's always from people that are openly genocidal or are liberal Zionists, in the same way that they weaponize, other atrocities across the world and say, why didn't you talk about this? Why aren't you talking about that? It's like, oh, you don't talk about those things. You want me to stop talking about Palestine. That's why you're bringing them up. And it's very clear to see. But I think, for some people, it can be a compelling argument because they might be assuming that people aren't doing that with malicious aims. And that's, I think, how a lot of the audience capture happens with these more online figures, when they're not as reachable in terms of our influence as a mainstream paper, but they got a lot of fucking viewers and they got a lot of consistent viewers, and they go on live and there's tens of thousands of people watching. That's just,
and they have parasocial
viewers.
Relationships with them, which allow them to radicalize them far faster than just a random fucking talking head on CNN. And they really, really fucking utilize it. And it's extra, extra dangerous when they've built up their platform talking about something completely fucking different. Fucking from video games to what if I have a big vape, like literally content made for you to watch while you're taking a shit. So, you you feel really close to this person after a while, blah blah blah, ironically, post-ironically, or not ironically at all, and then all of a sudden they're starting to talk about politics, and it feels like your dad talking to you about politics. It feels like your sister, your brother, your very, very, very close friend. So there's no kind of barrier to entry when it comes to whether you're going to believe them or not. If it's some fucking rando talking head, or if it's a fucking rando on the street, obviously you're going to take everything with a grain of salt, as long as you know you're a fucking able-bodied functioning human being. But if it's somebody that you watch for so many years and that you feel so fucking close to, now all of a sudden pivoting and talking about politics, you get ingested far quicker. That's why people that literally live with fucking rats are now all of a sudden arguably some of the world's, at least on a digital space, political influencers. Not because of the way they phrase themselves, not because of the ingenious of their argumentation or whatever. It's because they are like a fucking bank. They're too big to fail already. They already have such a massive group of people that is always going to agree with them, so that anybody in chat, anybody in the wider community, anybody wherever the fuck that starts listening to them or maybe even disagreeing will agree, either because they're friends or because of the cult-like behavior of everybody in their community is going to tell them, no, you're the dumb one. What the almighty Rat King is saying is actually the correct fucking take. And it replicates and it replicates and it replicates and it replicates. And that's what the fucking rightoids, that's what they fucking know. That's why they are so much better at actively utilizing digital platforms to, push people in particular political directions, while most people that, hold relatively progressive views, but that have built their platforms talking about something else, refuse to do because they're afraid that they're going to lose their original audience. But they're not. They're just going to contribute to something much greater than just, talking about their favorite media piece or their favorite video game, et cetera, from a more progressive lens. So now, I'm pivoting a little bit because, we're talking about the power of right-wing propaganda, and especially when it comes from content creators that have built their kind of social relationships while talking about, fucking content slop. But I'm also giving a little bit of honest kind of, how do I put this? I'm throwing a little bit of shade at a lot of people that have very large platforms and yet don't have the, respectfully, a bit misogynistic, but don't have the balls to issue a few fucking statements and maybe try to move the line in another direction. There is no cowardice from right-wing chuds that have platforms that they've built while not talking about politics. There's courage there, but there's a lot of cowardice in the other space. But hey, who the fuck am I to tell people what to do with platforms much larger than mine? It's just a little bit, it's not disappointing, it's a waste of potential, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's this entire ecosystem of media and the way it's grown over time to become a space where you can make even a liberal YouTube video, because YouTube was pretty fucking right-wing in terms of the political space. Anti-woke, anti-SJW stuff is what ran the social commentary on here. The fact that we're able to talk about things differently and push even further left until you're, crazy tanky commie like yourself is a testament to how things have changed. But then at the same time, it is a feeling of, can we be doing more and should we be doing more? And what is I guess a question is like, what do you think is the cause of that? The kind of lack of a sense of urgency about talking about what's happening in current events, or I've seen it discussed as people that make YouTube videos don't. I mean, I talked to Big Joel yesterday, and I don't think he's necessarily an example of something like this, because I don't even want to throw any shade to any breadtubers. I'm not thinking about that actively, less so as people want to make videos about things they enjoy and want to make videos about art and whatever types of things interest them, and that's completely valid to want to do. But how much responsibility do we have to try to use things positively versus how much is of that desire for people to have responsibility is just misplaced audience expectations or misplaced audience perception of the radicalism of what we're actually doing. And I don't know, I think about that a lot. I'm sure you think about it a lot. Is like, what are we actually doing? You did that left tube pipeline video. It was a great video. Me and FD were just talking about it as like a very useful tool for people to understand this landscape. But at the same time, yeah, I and I'm sure a lot of others have always had questions about, are we simply a product? Is this education important? And lately I've landed more on like, we don't know what the future holds, and we don't know how our words are going to be utilized, or what, someone in the audience and some relationship they have long down the line is going to affect real world politics, even right now. But at the same time, there's a certain apprehension to that. I think a lot of us feel,
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So like a few things, like the first point that you made about, the thin line where creators need to decide whether they should fully dedicate themselves on making stuff that they enjoy versus it's all individual, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, if we want to like pull out a little bit, I said pull out, and view things from sound fucking annoying, commie idiot, but from a more systemic perspective, the answer is relatively simple, my friend. Right-wing shit is not political. Left-wing shit is political. So people that have large platforms and sometimes talk about politics, etc., their audience doesn't view that as them talking about politics. They're just sharing their free speech right and their personal opinion, right? Black woman in game, bad. That is not political, bro. I'm just a gamer and I'm just talking about how I want to see games develop, and I want them to be made for me, not for other people. That is not political. Of course it's fucking political, but it's not perceived as political. While there is just a systemic wall put in front of, I'm sure, thousands of creators that would like to come out and say particular things about particular things, if you know what I mean. They don't do it because whatever they say will be deemed political and therefore will potentially either get them in trouble, lose them a very sizable portion of their audience, and so on. So yeah, the reason this doesn't happen is not because people bad or people hypocrites or people, I hate fucking talking about individuals, right? It's because there is going to be pretty serious repercussions, potentially, at least perceived repercussions on you if you do it. About the pipeline and, the direction it needs to go in potentially, and whether what we create actually contributes to some political cause, or if it's, at the end of the day, just simple content for the sake of content. The way I manage to explain it to myself, which allows me to sleep at night from time to time, is where you push them towards the end of the video, towards the end of the stream, towards the end of your article, towards whatever. You are a great example of a person creating political content, not just content, because you don't only want to keep them on the channel, you don't only want to keep them in your Patreon, you don't only want to keep them in this digital space. You actively encourage them. Motherfucker, you posted a whole fucking video, fucking self-sabotaging your algorithm so fucking much with literally just calling people to go to a particular protest. That is what makes the content a part of the actual funnel. It does its job as agitation. It does its job as propaganda because it tells them to go and do something IRL, to organize, to go to a protest, to join a labor union, to start a local chapter, join a local chapter of whatever. But that's the key thing. It motivates them to take another step. That is the end of the funnel. That is when our job ceases to be important, when people actually go out and organize in their communities and their et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I find to be the main difference. Content for the sake of content is absolutely lovely and absolutely fine, but it is a part of a political leftist funnel, in my modest opinion, when it is actively directing people towards IRL organizing, or if somebody's not able-bodied, also digital organizing and so on. That's the difference. And maybe I should have phrased it better in that video. Maybe I'll make a part 2 at some point, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's it. Is the relatively sufficient answer? I don't know.
100%. Yeah, that was great. And you should make a follow-up if you want, because I think it was very useful. Anytime it gets talked about in an analytical way about like kind of, I guess it's like meta-analysis or meta-commentary, I think it's always useful because it's like, oh, now we have a little bit more of an understanding of not just the video we were watching, but how the video we are watching and the person making it maps onto a greater ecosystem of content, but also the potential for the auspices of politics that are often presented by. And a lot of it is genuine and real when people are coming in and giving their analysis. One thing I wanted to ask is, you seem, based on your work, like a guy who reads a little bit and like has knows history about leftism in a greater capacity than a lot of people I see online. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I am curious if there are any connections or corollary examples of historical leftist movements and the type of propaganda we make, or the role of propaganda, and if there's any marked differences, which I'm sure there are, but like in terms of the actual role of the propaganda and the structure. And if you don't know history and I'm misplaced, then never mind. But just based on your videos, I think there's a lot of really helpful, citations and things.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we both have like a lot more power than propagandists did back in their day because internet, but we also have an eternal problem of, the brilliance of capitalism's ability to immediately commodify it. I mean, that's half of the stuff that we've been talking about today. So back in the day, you had development of pamphlets, literal fucking poster makers, literally dudes going out in the center of town and start fucking screaming at the top of their lungs. Dudes in taverns, in pubs, and so on. Most organizers back in the day, when they wanted to reach someone that was not yet reached, would go to a public space and either inform them through a literal written leaflet or through, oral reproduction of what the idea calls for, which would then lead to larger and larger organizing. Come talk to us about this. We'll explain a bit more. We have a meeting in a couple of days. There's going to be free beer, free pizza like nowadays, blah, 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 blah. So they were extremely limited because they could only talk to the people that were physically in the same room or in the same, forum as they were. We have a lot more power because you can literally talk to hundreds of thousands of people or thousands of people like the both of us are doing right now. By the way, reminder, why am I still sober? Why the fuck am I still sober, chat? Why in the shit? It is fucking 9 p.m. here. I am never sober at 9 p.m. And now it can actually go for a good fucking cause. So fucking donate. Link right now. Don't fucking subscribe to me today. Blah, blah, blah. Please link.
Inconsiderate of them.
Absolutely.
Very rude.
This is not about Gaza. This is not about Palestine.
Life.
This is about me. No, don't subscribe. A link, you go link and you give money there, okay? Thank you for subscribing. Some of you chatters, very nice of you, but don't do it today. Not today. That's not the point. Or this week, or for however long.
You can do both.
Our beautiful boy is going to be doing the fundraiser, so I can fucking drink it. 399,000, I believe. So I said, how do you pretty much everybody knows this is not, historically complicated or deep, but the contrast that we have now is we can reach a shit ton of people, but there is a thing that fucking kind of happens in people's minds where we have been so brainwashed by the system that we find ourselves in passively. There's no fucking cabal of people that want you to think this particular way. We're just passively by ingesting capitalist ideology as the status quo of understanding the world, which made us quite literally believe that the way we consume is who we are. The pattern of consumption that you engage in, that will either make you a good person, that will either make you a progressive person, that will either make you open-minded and inclusive and et cetera, or the way you consume is going to make you a downtrodden fucking, destroyer of the planet, destroyer of your local minority group, et cetera. And that consume brain has adapted also to content online, which is to an extent becoming a commodity as well. So a lot of people, ironically, will watch a shit ton of progressive stuff, consume right, watch properly, not watch the stuff that's for idiots, slop tubers, right-wingers, and so on. And that will make them feel like what? That will make them feel like they're contributing, right? And that has an unfortunate, strong de-radicalization element to it, right? Because why the fuck should I organize? Why the fuck should I join the march that Noah invited me to join, and I'm close by and I can actually do it, when I've satisfied my personal quota of being good guy by having consumed some of his content up until today. It is the same. Like we sometimes sit in these spaces and we point and we laugh at the motherfuckers that think they're gonna save the planet by what was it, the fucking thing that goes into the turtles. And don't say turtle dick. The fucking
paper straw.
Straws, yeah. So we sit here. Thank you very much. We sit here and we're like,
thing that goes into the turtles, not the cups.
Big brain, very smart man. Here,
just the turtles.
Just the turtles. So we most socialists, anarchists, blah blah blah, progressives will sit and be like, dude, that's so stupid. Bro, like the big corporation, bro, it's outsourcing the way you consume as an individual, and it's outsourcing responsibility for global pollution down to you. And that's literally just corporate propaganda, and they fucking got you by the balls. Okay, phenomenal analysis. But then that same person proceeds to consume content in literally the same way. I am good, smart, a very communist socialist man. And the only thing I've ever done as very smart, good communist socialist man is basically buy the paper straw version of the digital sphere. You watch a bunch of videos. And thank you you guys watching allow us to do, I'm doing career sabotage right now. I'm like, don't watch me. You allow these, pretty much information outlets for the left to exist and be able to operate. And thank you for all your money and so on. Genuinely, seriously, thank you. But if you are contributing to what we're making, and if we don't actively address the fact that you shouldn't treat it exclusively as a commodity, as a product, and feel really good because you're consuming the right way, then even your money or your time watching it, which translates into us being able to fund these projects, it's not in the long term actually contributing to shit, right? It's a snake eating its own ass. It's constantly in fucking circles. So TLDR, capitalism, very scary, very smart, manages to quite literally commodify even anti-capitalist rhetoric. But there's a positive side to it because they will literally sell us the rope we will hang them with. Obviously, allegoric here, violence very bad in the long term, right? I mean, somebody as massive as, for example, Hassan would not exist if the market economy was literally fucking idiotic and making him have very, very, very proper funding to be able to do what he does on a regular basis and utilize exactly that propaganda, not to scare some people, propaganda is not necessarily a bad word, into agitating for pretty great causes. It allows someone like Noah to have this weird fucking Balkan guy begging you to drink alcohol on a fucking stream. It's a very unhinged whole situation. But what is it contributing to? I see $400,000 you're going to feed someone. Okay? That is the difference between content for content's sake and actually trying to use your platform for something. I hope chat understood what I'm trying to put across.
They're all saying W-UNC, so I think they got it, and that's pretty high praise. I don't know. Oh yeah, it was so well said. I feel like we probably all constantly have these thoughts of what are we doing and how can we do it better, and there's certain immediate direct things you can do, like fundraising links or pushing people to direct action in your videos. What more can we do? Are there any things that cross your mind as like escalation in terms of the actual application to real politics, or do we just have to do these things more and better and more successfully and capture more audiences? Or what do you think?
Realistically, two ways. You can either properly completely dedicate yourself to being, the modern poster guy, which is what this is, the modern guy that screams in the center of the forum, or want to be the modern poster guy and somebody who is, I don't know, in a relative leadership position of a particular organization, et cetera, et cetera. So both organizing IRL and doing what we are doing here. I think it can be done, especially with people with very large platforms, in order to quite literally start something up, get a lot of people in that, are from the same area that also watch your shit. It could be a pretty decent tool, but it's prone, in my opinion, to corruption and fucking celebrity thinking of where you're going to be, let's imagine Hassan starts a party. Very good. Hassan probably attracts tens of thousands of people to actively join it, if not more. Very, very good. And I'm not saying that this would happen with Hassan, but it just like systemically, it has a propensity to then make the whole party completely revolve around the celebrity that started it, right? It starts losing the actual imperative of political change, et cetera, and it just becomes a different version of a fan club. So it's doable and it can potentially be really, really productive, but it's a lot of problematic shit that need to be shifted through there that I'm not smart enough to cover. That's why I completely stay out of it, and I am as anonymous as this fucking weird aesthetic that I'm going with, in order to just do my little fucking part. And if there's one dude or girl or NB that ends up doing something IRL per month from the shit I do, I'm like, dude, I am more than happy with my contribution generally, blah blah blah. But can some people from the online space become what's the cringe fucking ML word?
You're asking me about ML terms, man.
I'm just Vanguard.
That's your
chat. Yeah, the
Vanguard. Oh yeah.
Cutie.
Really is getting old, man.
Yeah, Vanguard. Yeah, and then you're gonna be the Vanguard. You're gonna put blah blah blah. I mean, you can go in that direction, but
it's really important what you said about fandom. Like the ultimate relationship of Hassan to his viewers is, or the overarching, most significant and most direct relationship is a consumption one. That's the way for all of us, right? A foundational, deep ideological one is there, obviously, for a lot of people, but foundationally across the spectrum of viewers, they're viewers, right? They're there for the person. And I think it's the same way, the inverse with like right-wing influencers, where we talk about the dangers of the bad ideas that are spreading, which are by a lot of these viewers, surely things that they will take off into the real world and things that influence how they treat people in their life and how they vote and stuff. But also it is a consumption relationship at the end of the day. And it is for that reason that, in the same way I'm skeptical about how dangerous this type of content is a lot of times, when a slop tuber does some right-wing shit, a liberal Zionist does some liberal Zionist shit, there's issues with that. That's why I talk about them all the time. But also, how material is that? How does this actually manifest? Does this actually bring people out into making the world significantly worse, or should the efforts be focused elsewhere in a different direction? I don't think Hassan would ever run for a party. I think he describes himself, and a lot of us describe ourselves, as like edutainers or news outlets or whatever else. But the fact that there is an audience expectation, or an audience like, they would fucking love that if they could vote for Hassan in their local election. That'd be fucking the Super Bowl for, like, aside from his debate with Ethan, it's just the second Super Bowl for unemployed people, and that's great, because that's good support for good ideas. But also, what is any of this doing? That's the question I think we as creators and you as consumers. Not consumers. You guys are great. You guys have supported so much in this fundraiser. I'm kind of being an asshole right now, but as people who are watching this content, like, what is this all doing? And I think a lot of people that watch it are in relative positions of comfort, like being able to spend, especially streamer fans, being able to spend hours and hours of time engaging with a medium of art and communication. But at the same time, there has to be more, right? There has to be more in any historical context. The amount of power we have in terms of audience reach is so much greater. And despite the material ties of it being consumptive or consumption based, that doesn't erase that actual reach. And I would like to see for myself and others is like that transition from like getting as many people as we can from consumers to movement builders. And I don't know how that happens at all. I don't think any of us can have the answer, and we shouldn't expect ourselves to have it, even though I think sometimes we do, and sometimes that feels bad when we don't have the answer. But I don't know, there's more things we could try. I like the idea of like mixing things up, changing things around. And I think, something I've felt from just this stream is like, I see a lot of comments like, oh, get this person on, get that person on. I like watching this person. Like, this is like kind of like a, Infinity War type thing. I get that vibe from some of it, but I also get the vibe from a lot of people where if I'm talking to a different person that people watch, their thoughts are going to be engaged with outside the medium they normally give them, like a video essay or whatever. And for some, that's a fucking movie, right? That's amazing. That's awesome. And I want to enjoy that as a piece of like an experience of content. But also for others, that it means something beyond that. There's ideas that are exchanged. There's the building up of, seeing that people can, like the Hassan Bad and Panada debate. I've been thinking about that. Like, despite all of the fandom elements of like Hasanabi heads and like Bad and Panada heads coming together and being like, oh, they're, the boys aren't fighting, or my two dads are back in the house or whatever. There's definitely, value in that, and value in like, in a way that I haven't really felt for a long time, probably since I first started engaging with like left-leaning content. I don't know. I feel like this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity, that the example of Gaza, a huge opportunity that's been squandered, and that's left people, not to put the weight on all of us by any means, and grand scheme insignificant compared to billions to Israel, right, from the USA. But am I overvaluing our influence by saying we could be doing so much more, and we should be organizing around that principle rather than treating YouTube as we've always treated it, which is a place to upload a video and sometimes go on somebody else's stream or hang out. I don't know. I hope there's more.
You're literally hitting the nail on the head, and then you're even introducing something that I've kind of thought of but not been able to phrase. Especially for, let's even take the context of the last 4 days that you've been streaming, because the number one thing you did is you took literally 20 plus people, all with varying sizes of audiences, but still very large audiences, into one spot, contributing to one particular thing. So maybe a very pragmatic, direct, next, unironically, in my opinion, easy step for us, progressive propagandists, fucking anti-imperial, call it what the fuck you want, I really don't fucking care, is to also like organize amongst each other, because now it feels like we're just like different cells that are shouting into the void, very often the same void, but there's no overarching structure, overarching
common
goal, direction, etc., which would be achievable if we communicate it, because right-wingers do fucking communicate like fucking hardcore. You think motherfuckers from the Daily Wire don't communicate with Tim Pool, don't communicate with Candace Owens. Okay, now I know there's some fucking infighting, but you get my point. You can always see like one of them makes a particular video targeting a particular group of people, and the next 3 weeks, that's the rhetoric. We're all pushing. That's the rhetoric. I'm not saying that we should become androids or whatever. What I'm trying to say is maybe there should be a structure in place that allows us to kind of, even something as simple as know what certain people what certain other creators are going to be targeting, so that we potentially even assist in that by creating our own video on the topic, by talking more about it in stream, by writing the articles, whatever type of digital content it is. So ironically, you really streamlined a very easy potential, and it can be literally solved with a fucking Discord channel or once in 2 year meetups or whatever, because that's what they've done. Because you asked for historical examples, fucking commies from Germany would go and talk to commies from France, which would go together, and because they have, for example, more experience, go to Russia and educate them on how to do very decent propaganda that can motivate the masses to join, etc., etc. So even such a small step could completely change the landscape in a very, very nice direction. And just something being generated from a 45-minute conversation that we've been having right now. Imagine if more of these conversations happened. How many?
Almost an hour now, and still no shots for you. So
pathetic, chat. You are absolutely pathetic. You broke fucking bitch boys. Where the fuck is my fucking shot? Fucking $400 left? Come the fuck on. Do you even have a job? God damn it, bro. What? Embarrassing. You're embarrassing me in front of Noah and his entire fucking chat. Jesus Christ. Pathetic. Phew, I spit on you. I'm kidding. Thank you to everybody who's donated. What the fuck? But maybe this will motivate them or whatever. But yeah. I don't know.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Little things that you don't know how it's going to affect the world. We just need to do what we can, but also while checking ourselves on can we be doing more? And to me, just reviewing the VOD reviewing or whatever, we absolutely can, and we should. And I say that for myself, and I say that for everyone in this media space, because if we're not, if we had done more, if we could have, set it up so that the way we talk about something like Israel, or the way we think about, American politics, or the way we approach any of these issues was continuous, firm, collaborative, and direct in terms of what we want people to do. It just feels, I don't know how the barometer would be measured between what that looks like in terms of success and failure, because I don't think it's really about success or failure. I think it's doing more and doing whatever we can. And I don't think anyone would say it's up to par. I mean, look at our world. Like, things are not good, and they're not getting any better. And we were talking to the communications director of UNRWA USA yesterday, and she was talking about how there was a photographer in Gaza that she had recruited for coverage to boost. I don't remember the specific relationship with UNRWA, but it was Motaz Azaiza. I don't know if you're familiar, but he's one of the most famous and influential social media people that have covered Gaza with photojournalism. And she talked about how he was just a photographer with a social media presence, and his camera had broken, and he didn't have the money to fix it. And so she crowdfunded with a Facebook post just money for a new camera and getting a new camera to him. And it turned out that he became one of the most influential people covering, the Holocaust of our time. And that's such a small, it's like a little Facebook fundraiser can lead to something like that. That's incredible to me. That blew my mind.
Another idea, utilizing the fact that content can make a lot of money to funnel money into organizations, individuals, people, etc., etc. Literally set it up. Even maybe set it up in between all channels to constantly feed into one particular goal, which is the goal for that week. And there's another goal for next week. There's another goal for next week. There's another goal for next week. Very brainstorming off the top of my head type shit. But there you go. Again, second idea from an hour conversation. Imagine if even more people were actively thinking of ways through which this, privileged position we find ourselves in can be utilized for pragmatic goals.
We're getting really close. 399, 194.
Are we at 399?
It has to be past that.
Oh no!
Yeah, on
there.
the website, and then
there. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's time.
I opened this thing in front of you, so and it's got this thing on top, so I can't be faking. Yes. It is only Coca-Cola inside, of course.
Yes.
I'm fighting BDS. No, I will.
Closed bottled Coca-Cola.
So, to your health, Noah, to the health of chat, and to the freedom of Israel. To Palestine. Jesus Christ. I'm not even drunk yet. Shot numero uno.
Everybody, round of applause. Yeah. Clapping emojis. Don't call him Unk. Don't say W-Unk. We hate it when you do that. Not okay. Like the stream. Donate more. You said you're going to do that 20 times or 5 times?
5 for $5,000. We made $5,000 since I came in. If we get to 15,000, I'll do 20. Okay, cheers.
You don't have to do all of them, but I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, that's having people on and watching $5,000 come in. It's just it's unreal. So thank you for doing that, coming on and making that happen.
I know, what the fuck. At least I could do. Thank you for having me. Oh God, it's so sweet and nice. Do you like Jaegers, or are you more about tequila guy?
Is a Jaeger bomb when they do it in Red Bull, or is that?
Yes, when they drop it.
I like that. I like those. I don't ever drink Jaeger on its own, really, but I could get into that later in life and allow it to. I don't know.
When you unk,
just have
did you party. Call me an unk indirectly, motherfucker?
Later in life. You're ahead of the curve. That's what I mean, because we're the same age.
Yeah, no, it's like with Red Bull, you just make it more unhealthy. Your heart just goes absolutely insane. That's the one thing, chat. Number one, don't drink. But if you do drink, the less you mix it with other shit, the unironically, it's not better for you, the less bad it is for you. Less sugar that shit has. I know you love your fucking cocktails that have more fucking sugar than 3 cakes. That's amazing. But ethanol plus sugar equals very, very large headache on the next day.
Most doctors recommend drinking straight out of the bottle.
Absolutely, pure vodka, which is that's my
stoop.
number one go to drink. Literally, just vodka and some water next to it. You can do sparkling water, but that I think makes blood flow a bit faster, so you get drunk a little bit faster with sparkling water. So normal water and just straight up vodka, and it's fine. And a lot of people get confused. There you go. You're not only going to learn about politics. A lot of people get confused that
this is a health podcast.
This is a health podcast. This is a healthy drinking podcast. A lot of people get confused because they look at, for example, a rum and a whiskey, and they're like, dude, this has the same amount of calories, right? But it doesn't have the same chemical complexity. So a whiskey is still far more complex than a vodka, so it's most likely going to give you a worse hangover on the next day. But it's far less complex than, for example, a rum, which will have a lot more sugar, for example, in it, which will cause you to either get drunk faster or feel really bad on the next day, and so on. To your health, živeli.
This guy's the alcohol alchemist. Beautiful.
Do not
amazing work.
Do not offend my culture, friend. Here, alcohol is way of life, which it unironically is. The drinking age. When did it start? 18 or 21?
It's 21. Some bullshit, man. Yeah.
So what? You started drinking all the way in fucking college? Oh my god, it sucks for you, bro.
Yeah, the U.S. is interesting with that. Just given what all the other things you can do aside from drink as an adult. So
yeah, you can.
All of our school shooters are sober.
Yeah. School shooters.
It's a good thing.
It's
actually it's bad because their aim is better.
Oh yeah. More school shooters should drink. Noah Samson, circa 2025, May 21st.
Perfect.
Perfection. There's an ironic relative social analysis of why in certain cultures there's a lot less people that go, for example, to the therapist than other places. And obviously 90% of it is just a reactionary attitude towards therapists. I'm not making an argument against that. If you need to go to a therapist, absolutely go to a therapist. But also, in countries where there's higher alcohol consumption, they're not, where it's deeply linked to the culture, they're not just drinking by themselves. You go out with friends, family members, or whatever. The alcohol loosens your tongue, quote unquote. So you end up talking about stuff that while sober, you would have never talked about. So you get to pretty much go over your issues with, yes, a non-trained professional, but they're still your fucking friend or family member, right? Unless they're very toxic. So very often you get to address things that you would never have been able to if you were, in a culture where there's no large but very, very interconnected friend groups, or where intoxication is not a part of the story, so that, our toxic masculinity kind of lowers for a second, so you can hug a bro and tell him about how you're still missing the one that got away, or that you're very conscious about your body or about how your career is going, blah blah blah. Because 99% of the time that guy next to you is also going to be very, because they care about you, is also going to be pretty relaxed, pretty chill, and they care about you, so they're going to probably either give you very decent advice or alleviate the thing you had so much anxiety about, because very often we have so much anxiety about things that we think everybody else is really noticing, really focusing on, and really caring about, but they don't really. So when you even have a single conversation about, your fucking beer belly or whatever with your friend that works out all the time, it's like, bro, I can't even see your belly. Who gives a fuck? That is a very bad, very simplistic example, but you get my point. That thing literally starts flying out of the window. So you don't need a therapist to go and talk about your beer belly, because you already relatively solved it with your friends. So yeah, just an interesting cultural kind of miss, because I've been to the States 10 times or whatever, once for work and travel for 4 months, that unironically made me into a communist, because back in the day I was like, oh, America, freedom, it's amazing, free market. Then I saw it, and I was like, okay, this makes no sense. That first year of uni, when they introduced me to Marx, maybe I should check out that guy. That's a TLDR of my whatever political path. sociopath. But there it's, everybody asks, yo, how you doing? But nobody wants to hear you reply. I don't know, you've traveled a bit. Do you see like a contrast in, for the lack of better words, hyper individualistic countries versus places where community still exists and so on?
The U.S. is by far the worst, and I'm sure there's a lot of pockets here that are. I mean, I lived in Seattle. I grew up in Seattle, and Seattle's like the far north. Everyone has seasonal depression. Everyone's kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of people there for tech or like sailors or what. There's a lot of solitary confinement, and it's not a great place to go if you want to be a big like social active person. Although, of course, I'm speaking more so from my experience, but I think generally, the further north you go, it can be a little less social and culturally individualistic. 100%. I've been to Europe a bit. I think the biggest time I saw the most stark contrast I saw it was in Greece. I went to Athens, and Athens was like everybody's,
brate, of course.
Yeah, everybody's. It's crazy the difference, the amount of. I'm also white, so I think has to do with it. Like white culture, white American culture is even more individualistic and even more stratified, and suburban culture and technology too that affects a lot of us. But I think it's so interesting what you say about drinking, because it's 100% true, and I haven't really thought about that. And I was thinking about when I went like straight edge sober for a couple years. Just I think the reason was that I felt like I was using alcohol to get too much to get over like social anxiety, and I wanted to train myself to not do that. And I think for a lot of people, obviously that could be the case, that's necessary, but it was actually way more miserable at that time, and I had even worse anxiety because I wasn't going out to the bar where people would be going out to hang out. And if I would go out, it would I just wouldn't drink, and it's not like it made it harder to hang out with people, and it made it harder to connect. And when like I'm thinking of the contrast between, in the context of masculinity, the amount of like physical contact you will have with your homies when you go meet up to like play basketball, or you go meet up to, get food or whatever, versus when you're at the bar and everybody's hugging and there's camaraderie, and it's a very different thing. In some ways, that's extremely healthy, right? That it's necessary. So yeah, I'm very interested in like researching that more, because I haven't really ever thought about it that way. But I think you need to drink more now. I don't have any. I might have. I know it's 11. I might have. Let me go see if I have a.
Yeah, I mean, bad. Ooh, yeah, let's go. He saw me. He saw my eyes glisten in the dust that was settling under my Jägermeister, and he realized that it is he's missing out. So let's fucking go. We're gonna hug it out. This is gonna be a hug out session. Give us a few shots, and me and Noah are gonna talk about our greatest insecurities. Chats. I'm talking to two chats. Apparently, I'm talking to two chats. Also, I'm incredibly self-conscious this whole fucking stream. You know why, Noah? Because on my, like, I've been streaming for a year and a month now or whatever. Personal plug to those of you, twitch.com/Yugopnik, Twitch or whatever. And I put my camera in inverse. So I've been actively watching myself for like a year plus from the other angle. So I'm achieving that like body anxiety of now in your stream looking at myself from the non-inverse. I'm like, do I really look like that? Jesus fucking Christ! It's a very fucking strange thing where our self-image is based on the fucking phone camera, not about how or the mirror, not on how we actually look like.
Yeah, it's like this is how other people see me, and I look fucked up because normally I look in the mirror, I'm like, not bad, get ready. I'm not feeling too bad, but then you realize, that asymmetry filter on TikTok isn't just a meme. It's actually a very, very deep, freakish psychological thing. I already opened the bottle. I need to keep it closed. This is some wonderful, expensive, fancy Tito's handmade vodka. The bottle inside of it is water, and
yes,
I think it's good to stay hydrated, as you said, and be safe and healthy, and do things for camaraderie, even if it's just a little bit of water. And here's my...
and I think we reached over 400K, so I already did my 5 Coca-Colas, but I will do one more Coca-Cola as they cheered to you. A big dude, you know, like these are fucking massive. Like this is.
Oh
this
my
is-
God, yeah,
this-
that's a
this-
cup.
This is
That's not a glass. That's a cup.
that's a classic, very classic Balkan design. Okay, this is, I think, even commie design. This is how
really
they
cool.
used to make them back when they referred to themselves as commies, right? It's very cute. I don't know. And you touch it here, and
Cheers,
it's
brother.
little thumbs. Cheers, brother, to your health. Free Palestine. Right. You know what the best thing about our job is, bro?
What's that?
Like tomorrow you're gonna, like, I don't know, talk to your mom or brother or sister, or even like a very close friend that doesn't actually watch your content, which I think is very healthy to have friends that do not interact with your content whatsoever. But you will talk to them and they will like, oh, what were you like? What did you do yesterday? And you will unironically be able to say, I drank shots in order to make money for Palestine with a random fucking Balkan dude in a balaclava. Now that is living life good. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's fucking sick.
Yeah, that's a special story. That's a fucking movie.
Have you been able
man.
to keep up with what at this point Gen Alpha, the fucking words they use, the
Slang and the
slang and shit?
vernacular.
I think I've been able
I don't know,
to keep up relatively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are
But
you?
I think it's obvious
are you
that I'm
seeing it
trying.
just from like your audience. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're going on TikTok and trying to trying to speak their language, or what do you mean? Like skibbity toilet or Riz,
that's
or
already
how
old.
far are we
That's-
talking?
yeah, that's already for old people.
Oh, way old. Yeah,
Yeah, we got new layers here.
that's for fucking grandpas.
I have a little like sound deck on stream. At this point, half of the sound deck is Italian brain rot, which I know is already old. So, but I caught up on that train early on, so they can't unk post me, but still.
That's good. My sister, who is maybe in like 6th grade, came up to me once and she was like FaceTiming her friend, and they were talking about somebody, and I was like, "Who's that?" And she's like, "Oh, they're my ops." And I was like, "Hey, you're like 8 years old, so TikTok is really awesome because that's, I guess, how you know what that means and why you're saying it now. But it's also, you don't say that because that's not really for you, and it's amazing that you say it because our parents have no idea like what that is, I guess, or her mom. So and that feels a little insane.
It does, but dude, respectfully, I guess I really will out-unk you right now. For my whole life, I listen to rap a lot. My friend, I think for like literally 3-4 years, I thought that the ops means like intelligence agencies or the cops, like operatives. I only realized that it means
fair.
opposition a year and a half ago. And I even told my fucking white ass fucking Slavic girlfriend, who's even more into fucking hip hop than I am, my current realization. And she's like, dude, like 2016 is calling, the fuck. So yeah, every time I heard ops, I thought that like the songs I was listening to were like, I don't know, very societally conscious and were constantly referring to intelligence agencies and like the DEA.
Everyone's always talking about the CIA. Like,
yeah,
every single round. Yeah, just out of the blue. Yeah, no, I think, there's overlap there certainly, but that's
Well, Chad is telling me fiancé, not girlfriend. Bro, I got engaged 4 days ago.
Oh shit, man! Congratulations.
Yeah, insane. I still can't process
How long
it.
you guys been together?
A lot, 5 years.
Wow,
It'll been
making
6.
the move.
That's why I needed to step ahead of the curve, because she watched too many TikTok videos where some like influencer ladies told her that if you date for 6 years and he still has not proposed, that means he doesn't really love you. I'm like, oh
That's
shit.
a sign. That's an ick. You should probably not match with him. Yeah, that's big. Oh, that's a grim structure of following.
W's in chat.
They save the day.
Which isn't that like always funny? How reactionaries will constantly talk about the necessity for the traditional family structure, for high value men being with high value, which means submissive for women, etc., etc., and how make kid have a traditional family structure, blah blah blah, and like 90% of the dudes that are talking about this are either not in a relationship or are in a relationship that's quote unquote open for them but not for the girl for some fucking reason, or like, I don't know, Ben Shapiro are in a marriage but they openly admit to the fact that their partner is never wet and that's okay, etc., etc. There was even, I don't know if you know him, like a very OG right wing, like proper fucking Nazi cunt, like a fucking some chatters might remind me of what the name is, but he had this like rant where he literally went crazy. He's like a Scandinavian dude that lives out in nature, and he's like a proper white supremacist, and he goes on a rant about how he's looking at his community, which had like tens of thousands of active members and so on. Varg, yes, Varg is chatters are insane. Why do you
Varg
even know
Vickens.
Varg? Yeah, the mustache beard guy lives in nature, drives this truck, I think somewhere in Scandinavia or whatever. And he literally had a rant about how, like, guys, like, I'm talking to you, proud white patriots, and yet when I ask any of you about your private life, you are literal fucking, World of Warcraft obsessed basement dwellers. And then I look at our ops. There you go. I used it properly. I look at our ops, and they're in happy relationships. They're having kids. They're just fucking they're touching fucking grass. And he was having kind of a midlife crisis, realizing that through his fascistic rhetoric and so on, he attracted the pinnacle of what his own ideology would define as losers. Which of course is subjective. Of course you're not a fucking loser. You live your life the way you want to. I can't even believe I have to talk to right wingers.
Right, but if you're repeating that ideology to people, you kind of usually are a loser, especially if you're doing that, trying to give people advice on how to get girls while girls loathe when you are in their presence.
Yeah. It's the ultimate. We talked about the left pipeline, but the ultimate opposite pipeline. If you want to get into the how do I get a girlfriend pipeline politically on YouTube, it's a surefire way of never getting a girlfriend, and kind of loops back.
I remember when I was doing a lot of like red pill, black pill, looking at a lot of that content, there's some interactions that happen where it's like a guy would be making anti-woke, like misogynistic content, and then he would get a girlfriend and they would get pissed because that meant he was woke and he would upload less, and then sometimes they'd stop making content, and the guys online were like, you've betrayed the black pill community, the red pill community, you're going against the like grain of your values, the values being maidenless, or being so weird and so obsessed with the way you want to acquire a maiden that you remain maidenless forever. It's just like self-contradictory, as like many of these ideologies are, lifestyle. And then oh god, that was so funny seeing somebody just full rage at the guy the idea that a guy got a girlfriend, and it's, I mean, that's as we often like point out, it's a little homoerotic. Like, dude, you're supposed to be dating us. You're supposed to be making videos about those bitches for us, because we are together and you are, we're in this together, right? Fuck, I forgot about red pill, black pill. The last time we talked, I went on the deprogram 2 or 3 years ago, and we talk almost exclusively about like red pill stuff, because that's what I was covering. And I don't know if you guys talked about it or covered it, if you covered it much on your channel, but that it seems like that wave of content has, for my like general view of the space, slowed down a bit. I know all the podcasters are almost certainly still going, but the age of the Andrew Tate op-ed feels like it may have passed. But I remember at the time the type of shit these guys were saying, and I'm wondering how many, given the lack of significance online, how many guys just kind of gave up on it, because that's the trajectory. I remember FD, whenever he talks about gender, he'd pull up these studies, and I think he conducted like an informal but well controlled study of young men that were following this ideology, and then eventually being like, once I went outside, or once I watched this content for a little bit because it made me feel good, but then it was just a phase of being insane. And that's kind of one of those apocalyptic sort of at the time it's treated because of a media narrative as this like, oh, the boys are going to watch these videos and it's going to start a gender war, and there's going to be all this stuff happening that we must prevent. It must be, the internet must go out of its way, the platforms must go out of their way to censor and deplatform the people that are sharing these views. And I at one point would have agreed with something like that, but then times change and things, time passes, and you realize that, oh, like granting them the power to ban someone for that is objectively wrong because it could be used against us. But also, it's not that deep. Like, people are engaging in this stuff, but their relationship with it is consumption, and consumption that makes them feel good for whatever their ideology or whatever their personality is like at the time. But once that personality changes and evolves and they grow as a person, then you don't need to watch the weird podcast and you move on. But there's always a new generation of young men to engage with that in, right?
Yeah, and then like
I forget how we got on this topic. I'm blacked out right now.
Just from one. Come on, brother. Look at this sofa. Look at this sofa. Okay, on your stream, it's not visible, but look at the sofa.
I can show it. I can pan over.
You hit me up, and you will sleep on it for 5 days. I'll tell you where the particular location is, because awesome. I think there's even direct flights or whatever. But genuinely, open invite, absolutely always. I think we would have a great time. But
I think we'd have a great time. But I'd be spending more time with that couch than with you. But it'd still be fun. It'd still be a lot of fun, just because
we can spend time on the couch together,
hungover and blacked out. Oh,
no,
true.
I'm not gonna torture.
Does it fold down,
much, my friend? What?
Does it fold down?
Of course it folds down. What the fuck? I'm not gonna make.
Okay.
It's very comfortable. It's like it's rough, but it's good. It's sturdy.
That's what we like.
I'm saying, even if you don't come back home alone, God bless. But that aside, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I think you missed. Oh, I'm so glad you missed the civil war that is unironically brewing in that entire field. Because you put it beautifully. I don't have anything to add. It literally just became cringe to be red pilled, and the audience kind of died off. And the only new people they're getting is very young people that are broke, so they're not going to subscribe to their pyramid scheme and make them more money. So they're struggling, and because they're struggling, my brother, they are starting to fight over whoever's left that's willing to spend money on their whole shtick. So I covered it. Jordan Peterson is unironically shooting bullets at Andrew Tate for being the wrong type of red pill guy. And Jordan Peterson has developed his own quote-unquote university that I think is $500 a year. So now...
JPU.
Some shit like that. So now they're fighting over whoever's left in that whole sphere, because they're in it for the cash, obviously. I think Jordan Peterson called Andrew Tate something like the wrong type of alpha, very Spartan mentality, which is no longer applicable to modern times, because it only bases itself...
Me when I won't clean my room.
Unironically, because it only bases itself on physical strength and consumerism and showing off, while me, Jordan Peterson, offer you a true path to redemption through intellectualism, through rigorous religious study, open yourself up to God, one woman, 15 children, that type shit. Andrew Tate is trying to tell, get them fucking bitches, fucking live life, fucking champagnes and clubs, etc., etc. So there is an unironic ideological rift inside of the OGs of red pill, and I think it's absolutely fucking...
The girlies are fighting, yeah.
It's incredible. It's fucking fantastic. If he responded, what do you think would be like the most successful strategy for his community? The first thing I'm thinking of is like, this guy cries, therefore he is not man, which would work really well with his shit, and he would just need to make a small compilation of Jordan Peterson crying, and that's it.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and it looks like Andrew Tate is still getting a little bit of coverage. I mean, because he's like a international criminal. Which, if you're on social media doing that, then that'll garner some clicks, as we know with Bad Empanada and things. Yeah, they're still doing shit in schools, which I could see that. I could see that the influence on the young generation. I feel like, yeah, I haven't delved into the actual content world about it, but all these guys, they're like classics to me now. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go check this out, see what the Daily Wire's up to, because it's just so insane and so entertaining in like a kind of morbid way. Let me look up Jordan Peterson on YouTube real quick.
They're all falling off. Jordan Peterson was on the fucking British guy's show. He started crying in it as well, but specifically started crying in it because he feels guilty that so many people are moving towards the Andrew Tate pipeline instead of his pipeline. And then he would regularly plug his university. But also, like in a conversation about masculinity, he would actively plug the fact that oil is very good. And global warming is
he's like a
danger, fully dedicated.
Oil shill out of nowhere. That's so hilarious. Just like, why do you
rent
naked payment?
Rent is really due for my boy Jordan. Very, very, very due.
The suits are still pretty fire.
They are. I don't know why we made like okay. Not, I know you said it ironically, but I'm saying it unironically. They're not that bad.
No, it's kind of like funky shit. Some if I saw that guy outside, I'd be like, oh, he's up to no good in like a cool kind of way. Like that's some type of entertainer character, even though he's so serious, but not also unserious, you know.
The most surreal thing I've ever done when it comes to my coverage of that fucking dude was so random. That was the only time in my life where I felt like a journalist, but I accidentally stumbled upon it. So listen to the story, chat and Noah. I followed this one Belgrade club just on Instagram. When I was younger, I went to it or whatever. And this is just like a random fucking relatively fancy club in the capital of Serbia. On my feed on Instagram, I would get people that tagged themselves there or people that were there. And all of a sudden, I just see somebody that makes absolutely no sense to be on my feed. And it's Jordan Peterson's daughter. And she is kissing a dude inside of this club. She was in Belgrade or whatever. And she literally had a post where she was like, we might disagree politically on most things, but and we might not even be together anymore. And she's making out with this apparently Russian dude, but this will always be my main guy or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but you get my point. So that makes me go down an insane fucking rabbit hole, and it turns out. So this is my, conspiracy hats on. The reason Jordan Peterson is so anti-communist is because a Russian Stalinist drug dealer impregnated his daughter. Google it! I'm probably spreading rumors that are not as substantiated as I would want them to be. But I randomly came across this through this random post that on my main account, I don't follow any political shit on my main account. On my, personal account where I have fucking 200 followers. And that shit popped out. So I started Googling. I started, who is this guy? What? When? A child? The fuck? She literally wrote Stalinist in the fucking post. Posted this like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, now everything is making sense. The phallic, the Freudian hours with Hugo. The phallic object truly has defined Jordan Peterson's life. The phallic object of a Russian Stalinist drug. I wish I was making this.
Oh my God, she's so cool now. I love her now.
Yeah, incredible.
I'm going to follow her blog, her health podcast.
Yeah, meat, very good. I love meat.
Oh, yeah. Do people still do that?
Do they? I'm pretty sure they do. I
started following this, or I didn't follow him, but I keep getting recommended this kid. He's like, he's 18 apparently, but he looks like he's 12, and his content is like, somebody has a cutting board with like a steak and eggs and guacamole, or like some variation of like keto, but it's like, oh, you just went to a factory farm and fuck shit up. He eats all this stuff, and then he flexes about being all like, oh yeah, like I'm strong. The kids in my generation are all out partying when I'm not. I'm sober and eating this meat, and that's the first time I've seen that since I guess JP, when he was all on gargling. Well, not gargling, but he was all on that meat. I don't know if people still do that, but him and Michaela would be like, yeah, I was actually dead, but then I had a burger, but took the buns off, and now I'm alive. That shit. That was like one of my favorites. Going on Joe Rogan and saying stuff like that.
She ran out of customers because they all started dying.
Yeah.
There was nobody to subscribe to the newsletter because their children annulled the credit card that their meat-only dad had set up previously.
Yeah.
But yeah, the red pill it did die off, but there's still a lot of work to be done there. They're trying to pivot. I saw the dudes like the two dudes like Stale and Ugly, Fresh and Fit. They're trying to copy the fucking Kirk guy, and they're going into universities.
Like Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Oh, Debate Me. Yeah, they were doing a like women shouldn't vote kind of booth at the science fair.
Yeah, and there was this, I watched it, I think, like 2 weeks ago with chat or some shit. And, they fucked up because I guess they told them they were going to be there too far in advance. So some people that are relatively prepared for it ended up showing up. And this one girl just came there and ripped them a new one in every shape or form by being like, yo, you keep talking about traditional family, but you don't have one. And he's like, yeah, because I'm working on my shit. And she's like, do you have a partner? He's like, yeah, I have a partner, but I'm in an open relationship, but where I'm allowed to do shit, but she's not allowed to do shit. And he's like, but that goes completely against traditional value. What the fuck are you talking about? Like you should remain relatively celibate before you are able to settle down. Also, why are you so fucking pathetic? Like you are not a what's the word? High functioning male, high whatever.
High value male.
High value male, thank you, sir. Like
high functioning autism.
Yeah, everybody needs to be a.
That's the phrase, yeah.
A high functioning rich boy in order to get someone, and yet you are not one. She literally just did the "yet you are not one." She did the left wing version of but iPhone, but Vuvuzela, but 100 gorillion dead right at him, and he just could not keep up. He absolutely could not keep up.
Wow. I love these guys. Yeah, I mean, gone is the era for me of making, I guess, farming more so slop off of them. But wow, what a time. That was all the rage growing up, on YouTube. Just Fresh and Fit reacts.
Yeah, that was I was looking at you guys making videos about it and was jealous. I was like, Jesus, what a fucking milk cow. Speaking of milk cow, we are 402,700. I am going to betray my 5,000 thing. So even at 404, I'm going to have 5 more. So at 404 error code.
I had one and I need to run and pee really bad from the
don't worry about it. We are this much in.
You want to stay on? I can do the BRB screen, or if you want to stay on.
No, I'll stay on. Unless you're kicking me out. I'll leave if you have another guest.
No, good luck.
I don't know how you
entertain. I trust you.
Okay. So, Stalin. I'm kidding. I've always found it to be like very heavy duty, just doing a stream by myself. But now I'm looking at his stream. I'm looking at my stream. I'm looking at my chat. I'm looking at my OBS. And I'm looking at my Twitch data. This is what it looks like. I don't know how much it's going to be visible, so I'm going to hold it right here. These are all the screens. How I'm not getting a literal fucking panic attack, I have absolutely no idea. I'm showing chat just how insane my stream setup looks like right now. There you can see it as well.
I'm trying to screen share. Oh my God, you're in a spaceship, bro.
Because like it's already a spaceship.
That's exactly what mine looks like. Hold on, let me.
You're gonna fuck me up the ass right now, aren't you, motherfucker?
No, it's the same. It's the same exact. I'm using my friend's monitor because streaming is hard, and I have a cat though as well, and a Tito's bottle. This is mine. 3 monitors.
No, that is serious shit. That is serious.
We get the same setup. Yeah.
But spin 2 of the screens that are on the side like vertical, And you'll have like chat on one. You can have just pro tips of professional Twitch streamers, if you know what I mean. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Unk is putting me on. Unk is putting little bro on. See, that's good. You can do little bro as well. The perk of being an Unk, you can hit him with that little bro. Earlier in the stream, I did the hot chip challenge, and that shit. Apparently, you're not supposed to eat it all at once, and it incapacitated me for like an hour, and I almost threw up. And like my stomach, I was like, oh, I have cancer now. Like that, it was not. You're not supposed to do that, but I'm feeling similarly now, but in the thumbs up good way, which is, I guess, the beautiful thing about streaming is that you have new experiences all the time.
Yeah, I don't think we have hot chips that hot in my part of the world. What is it with?
You just order or you buy it, and it comes in a box, and it's one chip, and it's some type of ghost pepper special. It's like how Hot Ones, you get 10 wings, you just get one chip. And everyone was like, wash your hands, like you picked it up, you touched it, do not touch your eyes, and you wash your hand. They're like I had like a ammonia or a nuclear reactor. It turned out I survived, but that shit, yeah. They said it would be worse on the way out, and it wasn't. It was bad, but it was worse on the way in. That experience happening while streaming is just people watching you.
People, it's so nasty. Yeah, just had
watching
one
you
for chat.
suffer.
I had one for chat in order to motivate you fuckers to spend fucking money. Jesus Christ, 404.
Spend money. I'm having one sip of protein,
of protein. Very good. Healthy man. I actually did hit the gym today. It was fine. I go with this absolutely unhinged fucking crypto guy. Like, don't fucking kill me. You know, you can have friends that don't agree with you politically on everything. Like, fucking touch grass, please, Chad. But he's the most yoke motherfucker ever. So he's like a perfect gym partner because he will always make sure that your form is perfect, that absolutely everything is perfect. And I know that you're supposed to have, muscle ache on the next day, but I'm already having that shit. But thanks to the Jaeger, man, I don't feel shit. I'm on the fucking fifth goddamn heaven.
Go back to the gym. Hit it again.
Yeah, Friday probably, and then on the weekend I'm on a bachelor party in Greece. Funny enough, where you?
Oh, nice.
Where you went? Yeah. Even though it's probably going to be cold, but they really wanted to do it there, so it's going to be fine. There, I'm going to be with like the even worse category for chat than a crypto guy. The guy organizing the thing, the guy actually getting married is a perfectly normal, very chill, actually very progressive guy. There's going to be 2 cops there, so I'm really really interested to see how driving through the country I'm in, towards Greece, what kind of experience that will be, while you have 2 like traffic cops, like fucking, proper pigs, like fucking, the
proper ops. Yeah.
Of Groinkiest in the car. I will die on this hill. I'm 100% sure. I'll tell you guys after I come back from the show, but they're going to fully utilize the fact that they're pigs, cops, I apologize, to break as many laws as possible because they know just flash the badge. At least that's how it is in my part of the world. Have you ever bribed a cop?
Have I ever bribed a cop? I've tried to actually. I don't know if I can talk about that.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Have you?
Yeah, it's kind of like the one thing, since we mentioned him earlier, and now he's stuck in my brain. The one unironically correct take that Andrew Tate ever had was the reason I love Romania, and this can be applied to the entirety of the Balkans, is because over in Western countries, corruption is rampant, but corruption is only accessible to the hyper wealthy. Well, here in the Balkans, it's more democratized, and everyone can participate in that beautiful privilege of getting out of a potential problem by whipping out a hundo or a 200 or whatever. Corruption, no. Me pay a cop? No, absolutely never. Absolutely. I'm a very nice boy, very legal, everything very okay. Very normal man, yes. I like walk on street and drink lemonade. All is good. But unironically, there you go. One Andrew Tate take that is kind of based. Because it unironically has like a class analysis to it. He's like, yo, bro, like corruption, obviously bad, but everybody does it everywhere. So it's, you cannot get away from it. And the Balkans are a bit more chill because it's more democratized and more people have access to it. Is it an okay take?
No, I like that. Yeah. I always try and wonder, like, how could we distill that out? Just make it, like, I guess, a video on it and not credit Andrew Tate as the original executor of the idea. But that's real as fuck. Never thought about that.
I will now leave
Because
you.
here it's all like white collar bribes, you know?
Oh yeah, this is inaccessible for most people. I will leave you with chat. I gotta go piss now as well. My eyes, chat, motherfucker, look at I right now. I am sober. Like, it's absolutely okay. It's not against TOS. So, money for Palestine, right the fuck. Do you want me to come to your house and ask for Revolut? Motherfucker. Okay, I'll leave you with chat. Apologies.
Who knew YouTubers can be normal and chill? Rip your lungs. Yeah, it would help if I had some type of vape or thing. Jack, you can outdrink him. Is that the truth? Do we need to do a drink off? Somebody said kneecap changed.
Flushed. Are you hung? I don't know. Ask your mom. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Nice.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, it's still, for me, it's Twitch. In Twitch, you have to do this. And I started getting annoyed by people asking me about my mask, even though it's an absolutely legitimate fucking question because it looks weird. And the reason I do it is because, the part of the world where I'm at, being, very vocal about your politics is not the safest fucking thing on planet Earth. And I'm not even talking about right-wing organizations. I'm talking about the literal fucking state, and that is why I unfortunately have to do this cringe thing. Just because I'm on Twitch not for so long, but for a year now, I innately have to respond to someone asking me about the mask in a very like your mama way, right? You don't recognize the fact that you're watching your stepdad's stream, which I know all of it is semi-misogynistic as well, but it works with my chat, so I'll leave it to that.
Yeah, you got to speak their language sometimes. Nothing wrong with it. That's why me and Hassan work out. We gotta appeal to the masses and toxically masculinize sometimes.
Neither of you toxically masculine, man. Toxically masculinized. Not. It's quite the opposite. And that's why I think like a lot of your work like really worked in the beginning when you were addressing, fucking misogynist idiots, red pill idiots, and so on. Because even some members of their community coming over and watching your stuff that is criticizing their lords and saviors because of the way you look and so on, the way you hold yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way Hassan also carries himself, really allows for that stigma of big Chad guy told me base to hate the woman. And then comes to you also big Chad guy tells me not okay to hate women. So the contradiction kind of breaks their brain sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like aesthetically at the start I kind of had a soft boy thing going. Like it was like purple lighting and I had like a mullet and I think I was a little chubbier and a little softer and I already talk quiet. But like, I think that initially that was like it was an easy 1-2 for a right winger. Like, oh, soy. Boom, yeah. Open shut case. Put it in the compilation of Soy Boys, and even though they crop out, the lower half of Hassan, it's still, we all look kind of similar. We have brown hair, and some of them have glasses, and I guess kind of soft looking. So sure, but then I don't know. The last year, I got back into my fucking meathead incel black pill gym head grind, and it was nice to reclaim that a little bit because I played sports and I was very even the political elements of like rejecting masculinity or exploring femininity was a type of distancing from growing up being, in a very hyper masculine space, which was, playing football, playing high school football, college football. But then, I guess last year I kind of like leaned back into that and went like, oh, actually, like you can go to the gym and
why let them have it? Fuck them. Why let them have it?
Yeah, why let them have it? You can be a bro and be normal about it, And even though probably when I was younger, I was a bro and not normally about it in a more like stereotypical bro way. Yeah, like it's okay to be ripped and hot, and it's okay to be vain about it too. Everyone should do that, I think.
Absolutely. Or be a bro with your fucking bros without 99% of the conversations you have with your bros being about how a woman stupid, I cheat now, she can go fuck herself, etc., etc. We shouldn't let these very human, normal fucking categories be co-opted by right-wingers. And very often, like, leftists tend to hyper-obsess about aesthetics. Like, this person is just giving me right-wing vibes, even though you haven't talked to them for like 3 seconds. Okay, they might have a buzz cut and like fucking, I don't know, tattoos and wear jeans with a fucking black t-shirt. Doesn't mean that, politically they are reactionary or whatever. Just the right has a much, much stronger mechanism of co-opting certain lifestyles and making it quote unquote their own in the marketplace of ideas, while we very often tend to just give it to them. Gym equals chud, bar in my case equals chud, etc., etc.
Bar equals man kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's
and man sometimes equals chud often.
Yeah, it's
capital M man.
Yeah, we give them too much. We genuinely give them too much, both aesthetically or lifestyle.
I got approached, 100%. I got approached at the gym by this dude. I was running on the treadmill, and it was weird because he like walked up and like started talking to me, and my headphones in, and I was running, and I was all sweaty, and so I like stopped, and I was like, "What's up?" And then he started talking. He like asked me about the shirt I was wearing because it was like a shirt from some like mud 5K run that it was my ex-girlfriend's shirt. She gave it to me and she had done the run. I didn't know much about it, but I guess he had done it somewhere else. And he started talking to me, and he was just kind of like, yeah, man, it looks like you got stuff figured out. Like you got stuff going for you. And I just wanted to, like, do you live here? And we started like chatting about it. And eventually he was like a younger guy, pretty fit, like pretty muscular in like a kind of like athletic way, a little shorter, but aesthetically seemed like the type of person that would be, like a health nut or something like that. But we start talking, and we're talking about, I don't know, we got in the subject of like dating, and I was like, yeah, like the only real stressor in my life, because like work is going okay, but the biggest stressor is like relationship related stuff and like dating, and that's my own shit. And he kind of took it into like, oh yeah, man, it's tough you can't live with them, you can't live without them kind of vibe. Yeah, I just got out of a 5-year relationship, and she cheated on me. And I was like, oh damn. And then he was like, yeah, and the only other long relationship I've been in, I got cheated on too. I was like, oh damn. And then that was right when he started kind of diving more deeply into the, these maidens, for lack of a better term, these women, they be acting crazy, and you can't trust them. You can't deal with it. It's not worth it to, pursue them. And you never know if you're going to just completely, obviously speaking to his own feelings about getting cheated on after a 5-year relationship. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm hearing what you're saying. And I'm pretty off put in a lot of ways by you saying like, living with women is crazy because they make you, they complain all the time. They want to talk to you all the time. This sort of general vibe.
Yeah.
But then also he had a very emotionally, you could say, traumatizing experience. And I don't know. Then he showed me his YouTube feed, and he had a lot of Andrew Huberman on there. So I think there's some definite like alignment with emotional stuntedness or emotional trauma and self-improvement and trying to attain the idea of the, masculine physical form. And I don't know, that was just a funny experience because I first of all, coming up to someone and talking to them while they're on a treadmill, that's insane. Like just middle of the workout. But also, just seeing in real time someone that is kind of like the prime patient zero potential target, fertile ground for a red pill guy. And him saying that, and then me being like, oh, he seems just like he's some shit happened to him that sucks, and hopefully he figures it out. But also, I don't want to hang out with him. And we connected on Instagram, but I would probably prefer that didn't continue, just because seems like someone I don't necessarily want to be around at this time. But like, you get that sense from a lot of, you go to the gym, you see a lot of buff boys that a lot of it is aesthetic and a lot of it is also desirability. But then, there's overlap with, if you're listening to Joe or Huberman, you get recommended something else. And then, depending on how much emotional turmoil you're going through, shit could get crazy. And hopefully it doesn't for most boys,
100%, man. Like you as Noah on the treadmill talking to this random dude. Obviously, he doesn't, he's not your cup of tea. He wouldn't be my cup of tea. And there's no reason you should pursue a friendship or whatever with him. But like extrapolating and looking more from, the leftist pitch, the main conversation we've kind of been having today, giving an ideological pitch is always going to work best on those most disenfranchised. And obviously, you can't attack every single front out there. On the other side, ironically, every single front you do not attack as the wider global movement or whatever is going to be attacked by, right-wing chuds. So when it comes to, these particular types of men that sometimes because of their own lifestyle, misdeeds, actions, and so on, get disenfranchised from relationships in general, the right has a very, very strong, very well-developed mechanism on turning the fact that they've been very unlucky in relationships and translating that to woman at fault. But the fact we do not talk to, or even attempt to talk to, even though there's some people doing great work, et cetera, to talk to dudes that are disenfranchised against relationships in general, in order to educate them that because you're disenfranchised with relationships, you're not disenfranchised with women. It just, there's other aspects of both the systemic problems and the way you've kind of internalized a lot of shit. That's the reason maybe why your relationships are not working out. The fact that we're not talking to them as much as we potentially should at the get-go, not once they're already misogynistic cunts. Like, honestly, I don't care at that point. But before they get to that point, we end up missing out a lot on not even pushing somebody left wing or whatever bullshit, but just like making sure they do not get radicalized down the right wing pipeline. It's a relatively missed opportunity. I made a couple of videos on masculinity in general, and it's ironically based on most like OG philosophers. It's the idea of self as male, whatever that's supposed to mean, and its relation to the feminine. And the main, from my perspective, and those philosophers and so on, the main reason why right-wingers were able to take as much out of it as possible is because the original definition of masculine, which, not the original, the most modern definition of masculine, which we take from, the nuclear family, et cetera, has now, through the right-wing pitch, been stripped away from the man, because what it is to be a man in relationship to the feminine is to be a provider. But now a woman can provide for herself, at least in the so-called developed world and so on. So the woman expects, the feminine expects something more for you to bring to the table than just literally bread and then force her to be your domestic house slave, right? And the way the right wing has been able to quite literally utilize this is by not addressing the fact that, it's a very good thing that now women have more control over their life, which leads to them not being satisfied by you simply putting bread on table. Instead of, explaining that, the right-wingers have managed to simply give the pitch of, in order to bring back true masculinity, we must, move ourselves back in general as a civilization to a point in time where nuclear families are still very much so a thing, and the woman is subordinate because you bring bread. And I don't think that's a complicated thing to explain to people why your dating life is very different to your grandma's. It's not very difficult to explain, but it is a little bit more complicated and a little bit more difficult than just bitches be bitches and they be wanting too much and they're not as based as your grandma was for, making homemade bread and waiting for the husband at the door and being like, oh, honey, welcome. I have 3 steaks just so that you can pick between medium raw and medium rare and fucking well cooked, etc., etc. So yeah, we're missing out, and I feel you completely. I think it was like a year and a half ago or two. Under this thing, I'm fucking, I'm buzz cut. I'm meter 95. My aesthetic is, my fucking aesthetic. I don't do it in order to be this or that. It's just how I like to dress. I unironically had a friend that was, in the closet for like quite a while, and then at one point, he started, dating dudes. But he never told me, and we were at a bar. He didn't know what I was doing, like what my job is, what my ideology is, and so on. Even though I think I tried my best to tell him, what my belief system is. But because of my particular aesthetic, I don't think he ever listened. 3 beers in, some random fucking bar in the center of town. I'm feeling loose, and I ironically tell him, like, yo, when the fuck am I gonna meet the boyfriend, bro? Like, what the fuck? And he just goes fucking pale. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I don't give a like. When am I? Come on, you've been dating him for like 6 months. I know from the bros. Like, come on, when am I gonna meet your boyfriend? He's like, you fucking know? It felt disgusting because he literally started fucking shaking or whatever because of the aesthetic that I have and the very particularities of the part of the world that I find myself in, which is insanely homophobic. He thought I was saying it in unironically, like a violent way, like, hey, you fucking boyfriend, you fucking, F word, I'm about to beat the shit. Like, I think that's what he felt like, which made me feel so fucking disgusting. So fucking disgusting because I was like, how the fuck am I perceived? Like, this is unhinged. And obviously, a conversation, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? No, that's awesome. Like, I'm really glad for you, blah, blah, blah. And I unironically want to meet him. And he's super calmed down. And then afterwards, I sat down and was like, dude, why the fuck did you have that impression of me? That's like, come on, like I felt like a monster. Like, what the fuck? Like, do I throw around the F slurs around? Like, I've never done that. Like, the fuck? And he unironically told me, he was like, I guess when you were talking progressive politics or whatever the fuck, I never, I thought you were LARPing them because of the way you look. And I was like, but dude, you're doing the same thing to me, like as if I was doing the same thing to you and, presuming particular things just about your masculinity just because you're gay. And it was like, holy fuck, yeah, I fucked up. Like, I was like, no problem, fucking hug it out. But friends still today, like a phenomenal relationship even. Arguably even more, better relationship with his boyfriend than with him. But he brought a truer bro to the community. But yeah, that felt so fucking nasty. And, it rolls back to what we're talking about. But did you meet the boyfriend? Yeah, I did. He's even cooler than him. But don't judge a book by its cover, the biggest fucking cliche on planet Earth. Please, chat, don't. Yeah.
Well, then specifically when it comes to this aesthetic of masculinity, what it's associated with, like his response to, how the way he viewed you based on how you look and how you present carried with it so much weight and connotation to the point where he thought you were going to try and attack his boyfriend because you're gay, despite your obviously leftist politics. And that's insane, but that's the power this system holds over people and holds over all of us. Oh my God, that's a really moving story in some ways. It's like tragic, but
I've never told
you tell it.
Thank you. Yeah,
but I guess that's even another example argument for reclaiming aesthetic masculinity from people that are freaks, and from people that aren't even freaks but are socialized in the way that would make anyone assume that you won't fuck with my boyfriend. You won't fuck with the fact that I'm gay, even though I know you like that. Like, I'm not going to tell, like, I don't know. I mean, something happened to me recently. Basically, someone I know was assaulted. It turned out that the person who assaulted him had assaulted others. And then that happened to me. And I hadn't heard about, I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know this person very well at all. Under this context of like sexuality and masculinity, it was something that I think only because I had thought about and talked about masculinity over the course of working, is that it made me go, hold on, this thing happened and this is crazy, right? And then it turned out that they shared that it happened to other people too. They just didn't know how to talk about it or even have any, inkling that it was a problem, because it's something that it's not that you can't talk about. It's just like in the same way, not to trivialize literal molestation of young boys by female teachers, but it's like props to you. You got, you got yours and it's a rite of passage or whatever. That's crazy because it's like one thing to read about that and say, oh, like regardless of who is doing it and how it happens, this is wrong. And I think most people understand that. But then you see this happen in your life and it happens to you. And it's such a powerful system that like, oh, like let's talk about this and recognize that like what happened to you, like without putting words in your mouth, but let's talk about how, I mean, what happened to me hurt me and kind of freaked me out in a way that's never happened before. What did it feel like to you? And then by asking, it's like, oh yeah, we share this experience, but you know, our socialization as men and rewards for, you know, sexual conquest or whatever, make it so that it's not thought about in that way. And I don't know, that's like whether it's like aesthetics or sexuality or rhetoric or relationships and how we talk to our male friends or our partners, or talk to our male friends about our partners. You know, we can push for a better world, but it's in a lot of ways very fucked. Like it can be, I don't know, seeing it firsthand and hearing you talk about it, it's like, damn, we got a ways to go, but at least there's positive steps to be made. Like when you connect with him about it, when you call him out as a friend, you know, that's strengthens the relationship, like you said. And the same thing happened with me and the people this happened to, you know?
Yeah, no, beautifully put. Beautifully put. Speaking of beautiful, not genuinely, thank you, you know. Sorry if I made it too personal or whatever. I never said that story before, but yeah. And thank you for sharing an even more probably traumatic fucking... Also, what the fuck is Americans calling everything traumatic? A fucked up experience. Let's call it that.
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of beautiful...
Drinks. Pour yourself right now some water.
4:05. I got it. I got in 30 minutes. I got somebody coming on, and I'm still feeling it. That's why I told you. I just told
you. Be 12. I'm half. Okay.
Half shot, dude. I don't know. I get that.
Half. Right. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, my son.
Right.
To your health chat. To this beautiful man that got us all here together for a greater cause. Let's have, I wish him a great remainder of this stream and future streams.
Cheers.
Really.
Thank you, brother. I
had a moment like when I went to piss earlier, and my girlfriend catches me in the middle of the hallway, and she's like, "You fucking drinking again? What the fuck?" And I'm like, "This is for a cause this time." And she's like, "Oh, fine." I was like, we made $10,000. We made $11,000.
Yeah, that was all me. We're dancing for the crowd.
In you guys' universities in the States, it's like frat houses and shit. That's where the parties were, or were there actual bars that would admit students, or would that be too expensive for the students? Because I know alcohol is ridiculously expensive, and also far away. You have to drink and drive. Like the fuck. Why can't I walk?
Yeah,
it's insane infrastructure.
Yeah, you can Uber, but then that's even more expensive. Yeah, you can get on a Lime scooter, and I'm pretty sure they require you to have a helmet now or something, because getting on a Lime scooter drunk and going, they're fast as fuck. You can go 30, 25 miles an hour on those things. Aside from that, though, in colleges, it's like when you get there first, there's frats and house parties. And then I think for the most part, you can get a fake ID and go to a bar, but it's usually just upperclassmen and stuff. I didn't go to a party school really, but there was house parties that I'd go to. But I would visit my friends who all went to this, like one of the most notorious party schools in the States. And it's just crazy seeing what happens at frats from a distance, and from like an ironic distance almost, of like, oh man, like I'm feeling for these boys. They look like they're having fun, but I know they'll carry a lot of what's happening to them with them in terms of like freshman hazing or whatever. And then also some of them won't carry anything because they'll die of some type of alcohol poisoning or violent act where, it's a madhouse. And I know
fucking coke.
I guess.
Why is everyone on drugs now? It's
coke. Yeah.
Like doing coke. Yeah, whatever. It's just an everyday thing.
100%. I mean, Adderall and coke and Fent is kind of a separate thing, but it's psychedelics at parties, which seems an insane thing to do, but people do them. Coke is the big one, though. I definitely it's a
like I'm uppers not at the party in the club. Fucking and enjoy yourself, but you're gonna get a bigger side eye, critical side eye, if you open up a beer at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Then if you in a corporate job, you do a line at 1 p.m. because you want to be more productive. It switched right? This is just in the what is normal definition of substance abuse. Coke kind of, at least, post-university, like, corporate life type shit, it unironically got accepted as just a performance enhancer, and it's not, bro. You have a problem, my dude. You don't need 3 bumps in order to hit your KPIs, bro.
One thing that's coming back around where I'm at is cigarettes, and I'm sure they never left for y'all. At least that's what it was like when I went to. Not at all. Probably anywhere in Europe, really, but here it's coming back in a big way, and I don't know what's primarily driving it. If it's aesthetic purposes, cigarettes are way fucking cooler. I don't smoke, but if I'm drunk and feel like getting something to bring me back a little bit, I'll smoke a cigarette or two at the bar. Social experience, whatever. And vapes, by contrast, a lot of people vape, but it never will get less. It will never get less. Always be cringe.
No, it will
always be so cringe. Especially, dude, the new types of vapes are like these, disposable. You get them at the store and they last, I don't know, a month, maybe, probably less.
No,
wait, as you're vaping,
2 days. No. 2 days. Xi Jinping started dropping the vape missiles. Okay, this is their response to the opium crisis. Okay, they were like the British.
It's a good alternative. And smoking inside,
no,
there's practical considerations.
It's practical,
but they have like screens on them and like statistics and like all sorts of shit that's like, it's cringe for sure, but it's also the dystopian consumerist element of like, this is a piece of technology and you're supposed to throw it away, and if you really rip the vape, it could be gone in a week, and that seems psychotic a little bit. Like, you can't even refill it.
2 days. Balkan lungs, 2 days. I have a friend there. Now chat knows. Like, I have a friend in every semi-reactionary industry, even though there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. So what the fuck? I don't judge people, except if you work in the military-industrial complex. Go fuck yourself. Like, we need to have some sort of fucking line, right? I have a close Russian friend, ironically, that works in the European industry for an American company. Because of my corporate past or whatever. And they just released this, I don't think it's still available in the States, but you basically have, you buy a body like this, and then you buy very tightly packed tobacco that is put inside, and it doesn't burn, but it heats it to a point in which you consume it as a vapor. It kind of feels like a cigarette, pretty close to it, but there's no actual burning, so it's not as cancerogenous or whatever the fuck. At least that's what the current studies show. But where it gets interesting, and she tells me about the next thing that they're developing, and so on. And the current one that just came out, at least in my part of the world, literally has a little like touch screen on here. That one's not throwable though. Like, it's very expensive. It's like €100, like $130. You buy it, and then you buy the cigarettes you put inside of it. It tells you how long the battery lasts. It's touch screen. You can make it more intense, less intense. But the main thing, we didn't tell anyone about this. We made them all update either the previous versions, or once they got this one, you have to plug it into a computer once every 6 months for an update. And yes, you do get an update. It becomes more efficient. Battery life gets better, etc., etc. But the main reason we do it is because once you're getting updated, we're also downloading. And we're downloading every single fucking smoking habit that you have. And these, EU regulations, in order to not sell to children or whatever, these are linked to your name. Not these that I have right now, the ones that are selling. So they got like your last 6 months of smoking patterns, 1-to-1. And when you go next time to the store to either update, buy the newer one because you want to flex in front of your girlfriends or your bros, and they're like, okay, which email did you buy this one on? And they open up your profile. They know exactly what type of product to upsell you on. Oh, they're a big smoker. Oh, they don't smoke a lot. Oh, they smoke seldomly, only for, kaif, for, they had a few beers, as you said, and they want to have a puff. So we're going to sell them different products based on their previous user experience. And that to me was like, Jesus Christ. cyberpunk, but without any of the cool shit. Just ways for them to upsell you in 500 different ways. And they're just the tobacco industry. Everywhere else, they're systematizing.
I'd like to ask if I could download my data just to see what's up, see some charts and graphs. This was great, dude. I appreciate you coming on, man. What did we raise? 10 to 12, because there's the UNRWA website and then there's the YouTube chat.
I don't know how much on the YouTube chat, but from the UNRWA website, 12.2. Exactly 12.2. Not bad.
12.2 and chat. How much on chat? Probably 15K. Wow, man, that's awesome, man. That's probably most of your people as well coming in.
I'm glad we contributed. Thank you very much, chat. Thank you very, very much. Apparently, we were frozen for like 10 minutes, and I was not checking out my chat. My mod is like, caps lock. Video has been frozen for like 20 minutes. Noah, that hair lot has taken up too much of your attention. Yeah, I mean, that beautiful, sexy face. I can't help myself.
There's a there's a VOD on here. You can run it back.
Thank you again very much for your time. Send me if you have like a link to the VOD so I can download it and maybe re-upload on my highlights channel or whatever the fuck, where I'll obviously link to you and to the fundraiser. And yeah, man, dude, fucking like you. Like, no joke. I
like you too, man.
It's
good hanging out. It's fun hanging out with you, man. I will take you up on that offer. I will be on that couch at some point.
Please, dude, that would be I would live for this. Chat, okay, chat. Imagine his beautiful face right here, 2 chairs, and then I torture him with
balaclava on,
and we get banned, right? We scare them. I put a balaclava on you, and I'm just with my face. I'm like, bro, trust me, it's Noah. But yeah, go.
I'll need to microdose the alcohol. I need to be there for a month and start small so I don't die of alcohol poisoning. We can do it.
I will not torture you in that manner. Go, have fun, make even more money. 12K. I'm it's late down the stream, and probably we share a massive amount of the audience, but still, I think it's an okay amount. Thank you for having me on. Noah listeners and watchers, Yugopnik Twitch on Twitch and Yugopnik on YouTube. And let me have the last shot before you leave, because it's the 5th shot.
All right, man. Beautiful. Take it easy. I appreciate you.
I appreciate
you. Yeah, you too. Talk soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Subscribe or baby Yoda gets it. Subscribe or baby Yoda gets it.